Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the OS World Cup 2024 semifinals weekend. Day number 2, we are moving into our second and final winners bracket semifinal. It's going to be number 1 seeded South Korea, number 5 seeded Germany. Teams have met quite a bit over the years. This will be their 7th meeting in a World Cup setting. Currently knotted up at 3-3 over the course of World Cup history. So, a little tiebreaker on the line for the lifetime series between these two storied nations. South Korea coming in the overwhelming favorite, it feels like, in the eyes of many, but Germany, a country with some pedigree in the World Cup, has not finished outside the top 6 in the history of OS World Cup double elimination, a team to be reckoned with year in and year out. And so I think we are in for another exciting semifinal. Last night lived up to the billing. United States over Australia. Hopefully South Korea versus Germany does the same thing. I'm this one guy. Joining me today for this match is going to be iFlame. Good morning, iFlame, and welcome. South Korea, Germany, your thoughts?
Oh, good morning indeed. Germany, as you mentioned, have had an impressive track record throughout the last 11 OWCs, and they've secured their top 6 spot yet again already, but they have got a tall order ahead of him up against the behemoths in South Korea that have been one of the most stacked rosters we have seen in OWC history. I mean, these guys had 5 players in the top 20 individual performers last week. They had 5 out of 6 maps played were top 2. 4 of those were first. This team has not dropped a single point all tournament. Germany looking to be the first, and we're wasting no time at all. South Korea banning out the Hard Rock 3. They're going to be looking to ban out some of the more tapping focused picks. Germany, they're going to look to ban out maybe some of those more reading focused maps, looking at something like the No Mod 5, potentially the Hidden 2, and potentially something like the Free Mod 3 as well. So they have options, but it will just be that Hidden 2.
Yeah, and I think in some ways this match actually does mirror last night's match a little bit, right? You had Australia, this overwhelmingly strong mechanics team. United States was very, very strong in the things like the gimmicks and the reading. And in this matchup, you're kind of seeing a similar thing. Germany, a really, really strong mechanics team, and South Korea, of course, very strong at just about anything, but technically speaking, their weakest skill set being the speed, strongest being some of that reading and the gimmick. So the bans here coming out very, very similarly. Hard Rock 3, DT3 banned by South Korea, two of those high BPM, high challenge tapping maps. And Germany banning out Nomad 5 and Hidden 2, which is the classic we don't want to let the other team play reading bans. Lovely Ice Cream Princess Sweetie, all that overlap reading. And the Iosis Hidden 2, just the low AR, kind of aimy hidden map. I think ban's going exactly as you'd expect them to there. And, much like Australia last night, I think Germany does have a route into making this match a very interesting one, but they have to perform very, very well. They have still available to them in the tapping skill set Nomad 2, DT1, DT2, and to a somewhat lesser extent, DT4 as well. And if they can pick all of those and win all of those, they'll put themselves, that's 4 picks. That's 4 points right there. The question is, I guess, do we think they can actually execute on that? Australia had probably the best DT and tapping performance we've ever seen a single team in a single match have, with all those near 4 million or above scores. Germany, I think, is probably going to have to do something kind of similar here this morning if they want to have a chance in this match.
Yeah, and I think that DT2 is potentially a bit of a bait pick for Germany. We know South Korea have been grinding the map. Both Hyok and Doomsday Fanboy have very recent FCs on the leaderboard. But before then, we're going to get Nomad 3 from South Korea. And this is their kind of map. They love playing these alt picks, these aim control picks, and are we going to be seeing Allegrissimo in? I think so, on a map like this. Wasn't in last week, I think, just wasn't around for that last match, and it's going to be really nice to have Allegrissimo back in for this week's match.
Yeah, this is a super cool Nomad 3, of course, an original track by Nagiha, custom map by Yaspo. Something a little bit different than the traditional Nomad 3, right? We've seen Germany have a lot of success in the past on traditional Nomad 3s where it's, snap, flow, alt. But this one has that swing rhythm to it. It has that precision element, with it being CS6. So a little less traditional than some of the Nomad 3s that we've seen. And we have seen, some kind of varied results on this. Some players having a good time, some players struggling. You toss that precision element in, and it can really be a challenge, especially very early on in a match. So we'll see who is warmed up and best ready to go, but that's already just a scary roster in the lobby for South Korea. Allegrissimo, Hyok, Forum, and Tuna. Anytime you see Hyok, you see Forum, you see Tuna, like, that's just a good start to a roster. Filling it out with Allegrissimo, it's a scary thing.
It certainly is, and that's what's so terrifying about this South Korean roster. They have so much depth. They have an absolutely insane 4-player roster for just about every map, but Germany have got their roster filled out. Yary, ZeitFrost, along with a WhiteCat and Criller. Those two are going to be in for just about every map, and Criller had the 3rd best score on the Nomad 3 last week. This one, of course, a little bit different, not quite the same style of ult, but Kriller's definitely going to be the player to watch out for. Had a very solid performance last week, and here we go into the first map of this match, Nomad 3. This one gets much, much trickier as the map goes on, so you're going to want to see both teams holding their combo through the first half of this map, and into the second half is where things are going to get a little bit dicey. So, once we get 15-30 seconds into the map, those combo breaks are going to start to be really important. We've seen 4 misses already, but early enough that the players can recover, and it should be fairly inconsequential. The accuracies, though, very concerning for some players. Hyok down at 93, ZeitFrost at 89. We're going to need to see recoveries on those, as ZeitFrost really struggling early on.
And for South Korea, it's the double FC on kind of the expected players, right? Worst HR player, FlyingTuna, starting off with those early FCs being held. It's just Yary with the FC for Germany. And kind of a common hallmark of this pool is a lot of maps that you really get tossed straight in. They have challenging patterns right from the get-go, even though you can kind of settle into this map as it gets into some slower sections, a quarter to a third of the way through. You saw a lot of breaks, a lot of act drops right at the start before people kind of found their comfort level as we head towards the halfway mark. And there is that break from Yary. It's multiple misses on the little burst. And meanwhile, worst HR player, FlyingTuna, still holding the FCs. Allegrissimo, just the early break, and Hyok recovering as well. It is WhiteCat to fall next for Germany. ZeitFrost and Criller doing what they can. Excuse me, there goes ZeitFrost. So it's just down to Criller. And South Korea just going to run away with this one, heading into the back half. As you mentioned, the aim control, the finger control gets and stays very challenging. Tuna finally does break, but it's nearly a 500k lead already. Forum, of course, doing Forum things. You just toss him on any map like this, and you expect, if not an FC, at least a great score, and he's proving that once more here.
Yeah, such good accuracy on Forum as well, the only one above 99. Tuna finally does find the miss, as does Hyok, but it's just going to be too little too late. Germany have no supporting combo, and South Korea going to be taking this first point. It is their first pick. This is one they expected to win. Germany's not going to feel too bad about. Now it's a question of, are we going to see an FC out of worst HR player? Allegrissimo looking to put up an impressive score as well. Okay, no FC from worst HR player, but Allegrissimo actually hitting that ending. Very impressive return after being missing all of last week. Now it's up to Germany to fire back with a strong first pick of their own. Have that DT pool still open, as well as some of the other tapping maps in the pool, such as the Nomad 2. So I think they have quite a few options that are very reasonable first picks.
Yeah, but man, they're going to be coming back from a one-sided beatdown on that first pick from South Korea, man. Over 1 million point differential with the 863k from Forum, the 780k from Allegrissimo. I mean, those are 300,000 points better than anybody on Germany. The lowest score on South Korea, just 9,000 points lower than the highest score on Germany. Just goes to show how comfortable and how confident they are on these types of extremely challenging, kind of non-traditional mapping styles. So as you said, Germany going to have to find a good entry point into this match here. I do think, it's probably something like this DT1 or DT2 first. Whether the DT2 is a bait pick, we can figure out when we get there, but I feel like it's something that Germany is just going to have to pick in this matchup, whether or not it's 100% perfect, because it's the closest thing. One interesting thing I want to mention, we talked about this last night doing prep for this match. it's a very interesting aspect of their skill set for Germany that the area in which they're most favored in this matchup is one where you often don't see two of their best players. Criller and WhiteCat, not speed players, but Germany, so good at speed and stamina.
Yeah, but the kind of the raw speed has been banned out, right? So that's not going to be something that they pick. I think most of the tapping left are things that Criller and WhiteCat can both play. The DT1 comes through as expected, and this is a very good map for Germany. They have looked incredible on the DTs all week long. They had one of the strongest DT1 scores in the tournament last week, and looking to do the same here. They're going to keep this core of WhiteCat and Criller, Okinamo and Yary, very likely to come in as the third and fourth. Meanwhile, South Korea, we're going to see, I think, FlyingTuna along with Doomsday Fanboy have been some of the best performers for South Korea on the DTs. But I have quite a few options. It looks like Karcher will fill in as a third. And for the fourth, you could reasonably see Hyok, you could reasonably see worst HR player. I think it's going to be one of those two, but fragranceofpage even. I mean, just goes to show how much depth this roster has.
Yeah, fragranceofpage coming in and representing such a well-rounded player, despite being a newcomer and an OWC rookie, is really a good kind of player to have found for South Korea, because the lone weakness historically for worst HR player has been on tapping. So having somebody who can come in and do a lot of things to bolster worst HR player on his own maps, while also being able to play some of these tapping maps, very, very important for South Korea. And that being said, of course, Germany still will be favored on this type of map on paper, as we await the fourth to join Okinamo, Tim Kackner, and Yary. And look at that, it's going to be FlyingTuna as the fourth for South Korea. The FlyingTuna speed arc over the past year and a half has been exciting to watch, as he has really improved a lot in that skill set. And it will be Fleh. Fleh? I still don't actually know. I feel like I should know. I feel bad for not knowing. Will be the fourth for Germany, often in as the kind of fill speed member. Often does perform quite well in these types of maps, though. So then we're going to go map number 2, the first pick for Germany into the DT1. It is 264 BPM. It's pretty lengthy. It's tapping. It also has a little bit of awkward aim to it. And this is a skill set that Germany really has to do well on in this matchup.
Yeah, I'd say the aim is probably the trickier part of the map in terms of where we're going to expect to see players miss. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of tapping to this map, and you need to have the raw speed to keep up. And that's why we're not seeing WhiteCat or Criller. We do see two early misses, one of those from Okinamo, who had the top DT score of last week. So not going to be able to do the same here, at least quite yet. And this is a much longer map, 4 minutes nearly in length, so there's going to be plenty of time for these early breaks to recover their combos. And this map does take a little bit to pick up, but this first KI is going to be very telling as to how the rest of the map will shape out.
Still see some very high AC FCs from 3 members of South Korea. 2 FCs remaining for Germany, and in we go. It's going to be Yary to miss on the little square aim pattern before we get into this first real drop section, and that's going to be advantage South Korea here early on as Okinamo becomes the next to fall. It is down to just Tim Kackner with the FC and Fleh on the supporting combo. Meanwhile, it is still a triple FC for South Korea. It is still FlyingTuna with just that break in the first about 70 combo, and South Korea is going to run out to a bit of a lead here already, just about a third of the way through the map, and it's going to be around a 200k advantage as there falls Okinamo again. We're still yet to see a meaningful break from South Korea, and this is the skill set that they're quote-unquote weakest on. Out to prove that that may or may not be the case. Finally, the break does come from Karcher, but Tim Kackner trades it back. No FCs left for Germany as we head into the cut stream section.
Yeah, that's going to be really rough. This cut stream section is one that South Korea have the players to be able to hit, and they're going 3 full combos strong. Okay, make that one. I spoke a little bit too soon, but there's just not much combo matching on Germany. Fleh and Yary are on nice recoveries, but they're just down by so much. 300,000 points. They can make it up, but they're going to need to miss from fragranceofpage at some point if they want to make the recovery, although they're not out of it yet. Okinamo, Tim Kackner, both have solid supporting combos as well.
This is quite a bit of combo on the side of Germany. There is still a lot of time left with this map being as long as it is. We've gotten kind of past the hardest tapping section, but there is this difficult aim portion of the map still remaining. We'll see if anybody gets tripped up on some of these slightly wider angled jumps, a little older style mapping. It is going to be Yary once more falling on aim. The curse of the speed player, unfortunately, befalls him. Down goes FlyingTuna again. It is still okinamo, Tim, Kackner, and Fleh on those big combos for Germany, but they need some help here. They need fragranceofpage to break to really have a shot at bringing this back. There goes Fleh, and now it is Tim, Kackner, okinamo doing what they can, but fragranceofpage continuing on the FC, newcomer to the team. We've seen some good rookie performances this year out of some players from various teams, and he is absolutely one of them. Finally breaks near the ending here, but it's a 365k lead for South Korea. And the only meaningful combo in Germany is going to be okinamo, with Karcher, Tuna, and Doomsday fanboy all holding some combo for South Korea. It does look like we might be seeing this break point here early on in this match.
Certainly looks to be the case. fragranceofpage has done more than enough here, and Germany, each of those players able to put up some impressive combos, but just not able to hold on to them long enough to match South Korea, who are very quickly approaching that 3 million point score marker. Germany at 2.3 million, not really the score you'd want to see on a map like this, even comparing it to some of the other scores we've seen in this tournament. When we think of Germany being a DT team, you'd really like to see a stronger score on something like the DT1, but we'll see if they can recover, as they do have quite a number of picks left in this match. The next one, of course, goes to South Korea, and they have so much left to pick from in this pool. They've got the Fremont 3, and they've got the Hard Rocks they looked really good on last week, had the top scores on Hard Rock 1 and Hard Rock 3. Unfortunately, there's a Speed Hard Rock this week, so it's not going to be an option for them. But they have so many options here. Fremont 3 is kind of the first one I'm looking to, but they've got quite a few other alt maps as well, looking towards something like the Creator in the HD1. They probably don't want to pick Hard Rock 2. I think that'll be something that Germany may look to pick later on in this match. But then again, free mods as well, something that looked good for both teams, but the free mod 3 and the free mod 4, both quite strong for South Korea.
Yeah, I like free mod 3, free mod 4 here for them as well. Free mod 2 could even be like a low-key sort of shout, especially seeing Germany having banned out the Hidden 2, right? Clearly, a team that doesn't want to go into those reading maps against the South Korean roster. So, you know, South Korea, proverbially, the world is their oyster here, it feels like, in this pool. There are so many different maps, so many different archetypes of maps that they really like a lot. And it is going to be that Hard Rock 2. So they will make fools of us all here, it would seem. It's going to go into Saika. This is the small circle size pick here, right? This is CS 6.9. It is therefore going to be very control oriented. It's very flowy, but it's just that small circle test, and we've seen a lot of players struggling with this. If your cursor is not perfect, if your precision is not perfect, you are going to have trouble on this. And real quick, before we move on to the next map, I do want to just mention something about the previous one, right? We talk a lot about how the top 3 teams feel like they've really separated each other from the pack this year. Fallen Angel, neither of these teams came even close to the United States or Australia. Last night we had a 4 million from Australia, 3.9 million from the United States. Today we have 2.9 million from Korea and 2.4 million from Germany. So if you were wondering just how good those scores were we saw in the first semifinal, that should give you an idea. These are 2 of the other best teams in the tournament, and they were over 1 million points shy of even contesting against the first 2. So mechanics looking interesting, but this is going somewhere completely different as we head into precision.
Yeah, those are some crazy DT scores we saw last night, but upon looking into it, this pick makes a lot of sense. Germany had the 3rd worst Hard Rock 2 score last week out of about 10 teams. They really struggled. We're very likely to see WhiteCat and Criller as well as Tim Kackner. I think the only question is the last player. It looks like it's going to be Fleh. Last week they had ZeitFrost, so changing things up this time around. We'll see if it makes a difference as we get into this Hard Rock 2. Very small circles really plays on the nerves. And there are some kind of you almost describe them as flower-shaped patterns that have those kind of 5-note circular patterns that have tripped up a lot of players that are going to be the ones to watch out for in this map. Germany looking to get a break point back here. They need to find some ground in this match. Can they do it on South Korea's second pick? We'll find out shortly.
Yeah, this is a challenging spot to be in for Germany. Could fall behind that consolidated break point very quickly here if they're not careful. And this is a skill set that you gotta expect South Korea to do quite well on. Worst HR player, fragranceofpage, Karcher, Allegrissimo, a super strong roster for this type of map. Germany, though, historically has found themselves pretty good hard rock rosters in the past. They're typically pretty good at flow as well. So we'll see if they can find a level of comfort in this pick that they haven't really seemed to in the first couple of maps. It's going to be early breaks from Karcher and WhiteCat to get things going. Allegrissimo the next to fall. 3-2 for Germany in the early goings, but down 100,000 points thanks to that very low accuracy on Fleh and WhiteCat. And there goes Tim Kackner, so 2 FCs against 2 recovery combo advantage to South Korea now, and they will quickly run that lead out. Accuracy goes a long way. When you look at that ACK on Page and worst HR player compared to the ACK on Fleh and WhiteCat, well, that tells a tale.
Yeah, do not be deceived. Despite the accuracies from South Korea being very impressive, this map is by no means easy to ACK, and the ACK is making all the difference. Now the combos are making the difference as well, as that's full reset from Germany. It's traded back by only Karcher for South Korea. They've got 2 FCs and nice support from Allegrissimo. T1G, they are running away with this one, and Germany is just out of it. There's only about 30 seconds left of the map to go. And I think Germany are already going to be looking towards that next pick, as this is a dominant performance.
Yeah, this is extremely one-sided once more. South Korea has opened this match up with 2 really good picks of their own by all appearances. There is going to be finally that first break from worst HR player. Fragranceofpage, though, still holding on through these spaced flow patterns, heading into the very ending. Can he make it through? No, he cannot. He's going to fall, missing that slider head, unfortunately. But that is a 2.9 million team score for South Korea. 2 near FCs, Fragranceofpage, the 1 miss at the end. Worst HR player, the 99 ACK S rank. Allegrissimo on the 694k. Karcher a little farther behind, but it didn't even matter because they were going to win with or without his score, and just Germany not able to get anything going on that pick. Wow, South Korea, that is a really, really good performance from the team on a very difficult map.
Yeah, I believe that's their second pick in a row where they've had the top team score of the tournament. So just continuing the trend from last week, and Allegrissimo has looked phenomenal so far in this match. Hasn't had any, career performances, but on a team like South Korea, you don't need it. Just need to put up some really good supporting combos, and they're really liking having Allegrissimo back. Germany now need to find the pick. They can't really afford to give up a second break point. And despite losing the DT1, I think their best chance might be to go back to the DTs. I think there's the no mod 2. Do they ever go for a risky no mod 4 here? They have looked good on tech, but against South Korea, it's tough.
Yeah, I feel, a lot of the picks that you think of Germany and you're like, okay, well, they have Criller and WhiteCat for that. Or, they have okinamo and yary for that. A lot of those picks you can think of, and then you realize, wait, South Korea has Forum and Fragranceofpage and FlyingTuna and whoever for that, right? The roster, the roster for South Korea, the roster depth for South Korea is so absurd that, if even one player on Germany's side is less than 100% comfortable on a pick, South Korea is just going to jump on it. And it's going to be the Nomad 1. It's going to be Warcry once again. We have seen a lot of this map. It feels like, I don't have the stats at hand, but it feels to me like this map has been picked in every match so far. It feels like we've seen a lot of it. Just that super consistent aim stamina. Not a phrase that you hear all that often, but it's 220 BPM and just unending, unrelenting aim for the entire duration, and I'm not going to lie to you, iFlame, I really don't like this pick for Germany into a South Korea team that has aim players like aahoff joining the roster as one of the best aim players in the world. Yeah, Germany has WhiteCat, who has historically been one of the best aim players in the world, but like, do they have a full 4-man roster is always going to be the question. And I feel like South Korea is just scary on this skill set. I don't know that I love jumping into this, but I would love to be proven wrong and for Germany to get on the board here.
Yeah, it's certainly not a pick I had on my bingo card for Germany in this match, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. They're not feeling confident to go into the DT. They know that South Korea has at least 2 DTFCs potentially on that DT2, so evidently they're not feeling confident enough to go into that. And so at that point, your other option is to switch up the skill sets. And again, Germany doesn't really have the speed maps left in the pool, right, to win this one off of tapping. So test the aim early. If you can win an aim pick, it opens up a lot of the other picks. And yes, it's a gamble. Yes, it's a big risk going into Yok, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And Germany really need this one quite desperately. Criller, WhiteCat, ZeitFrost, and Tim Kackner. A very good aim roster. You certainly can't count them out. South Korea, they have just looked unbeatable all tournament long. They are currently undefeated, yet to drop a single map. I think if Germany wants to be the first, they're going to have to do it now or never.
Yeah, it is 19 maps in a row this tournament so far for South Korea. And Germany, seeing that sign next to Nomad 1, break glass in case of emergency, down 3-0 and really yet to make any sort of inroads into any of those 3 maps. This, I think, constitutes maybe just a little bit of an emergency. You lose this one as well, whatever the pick was going to be, and you end up down 4-0 double break point. And that, at that point, the match feels like it's almost over already. So this is absolutely feeling like a must-win here for this German roster. It is the early break from 2 members. It is ZeitFrost and Tim Kackner to fall in the first 3-400 combo. South Korea, of course, holding the 4-way, no surprise there. There is a lot of map here. As we said, it's 3.5 minutes, and it is unrelenting aim. So early breaks aren't going to be the end of the world, but if they belie any sort of lack of comfort in the map, then perhaps it could be a spot of bother here for Germany. But so far, so good for most of this lobby. Just those 2 misses. Criller, WhiteCat still holding the double FC, the crucial members of Germany. South Korea, they're on the 4-way, because of course they are.
They certainly are. They have been absolutely invaluable so far in this tournament and showing no signs of slowing down so far. That being said, Germany very much still in this one. They're only down by 150,000 and they have some massive combos on their side. All it takes is 1 miss from South Korea and Germany are right back in this one, but T1G, 1 miss, nowhere to be seen. What are they doing?
1 miss is just too much of an ask if you're Germany. You're like, please give us a shot here. And it's WhiteCat to fall. Aim player extraordinaire. He has been historically so great at aim, so consistent at this skill set for so long, but falls here, and the FC remaining just on Criller, who has been such an important carry player for that team the last 2 years. But down goes ZeitFrost as well. And I mean, we're 2/3 of the way through. We're yet to see a single break from South Korea. We're still seeing 100 from FlyingTuna. Drops a couple more there, but it's 4-way full combo. They are still holding. It is yet to be a single misstep from South Korea on this map. Nay, in this entire tournament, every move they make seems to be the right one, whether it's their pick, whether it's their roster on the opponent's pick, it doesn't matter. They are here to dominate. It is a 600k lead. It is a 4-way full combo still intact into the last quarter of the map. This is a South Korea team firing on all cylinders.
South Korea can do no wrong in the 2024 World Cup. This is, so far, the most dominant roster we have ever seen. We do finally see 1 miss, but that is 1 miss far, far too late, as a very impressive performance from Criller, but it's not going to be nearly enough, as that is going to be another point for South Korea, a break point at that, and they remain undefeated for 1 map more. And I have a stat for you, T1G. as you mentioned, before this map was played, it's been picked in every match except for one. It's been a very popular map, and the top score for today, 2.4 million from both Canada and the US, both hitting that 2.4 million mark. South Korea have blown that out of the water by 1.3 million, and they have now had the top team score on 3 out of 4 maps played. Everything but that DT1, they have had the top team score in the tournament. I mean, what do you do against this?
I do think that the team scores might be missing United States versus Australia question.
Yes.
There? So I don't know that that's for sure, but
yeah. Don't worry, I've checked my stats. I've got the US-Australia match pulled up. The US also got 2.4 million on this, so.
No, I just mean like the other, some of the other maps. But here's the other stat about this match: is we are at a 4-0 lead here for Team South Korea in about 25 minutes. They've played 4 maps. They've won 2 of their own picks, 2 break points. They have won 3 out of those 4 maps by over 1 million team score. 1.1 million gap on the Nomad 3. It was a 1.1 million score gap again on the Hard Rock 2, and yet again 1.1 million score gap here on the Nomad 1. This South Korea team is showing levels of dominance in this match so far that, dare I say, are unprecedented. I mean, greatest OWC team ever was back in 2019, or at least in the modern era. I can't speak to like 2014 and before. The greatest OWC team in the modern era, I think it's pretty safe to say, in terms of dominance, was 2019 USA. This South Korea team is on a better run in terms of maps. This is 20 maps in a row without dropping a single one, and with score margins, even in a semi-final, over 1 million points. It is really starting to look like maybe they are this just absolute team of destiny, the wrecking ball just swinging through this bracket and obliterating all comers.
Yeah, it's so tough for Germany. They're not having a bad match. They had the second best score of the tournament on that Nomad 1. But against South Korea, second best is not enough because they are unfortunately the best at the moment. The winner of this one going on to face the US. That will be a matchup to watch out for. At least for the moment, that team is looking to be South Korea. But Germany is not out of it yet. They are going to need to win a lot of points in a row, but crazier things have happened. This Nomad 4 is a very good pick for South Korea. Germany, it's interesting because Germany is typically a very good tech team. They have Criller, who is one of, if not the best tech player in the game right now. Aahoff coming in would be a bit of a surprise for me. I would be really shocked not to see WhiteCat instead, but we'll see. But with that said, this is one of the hardest maps in the pool. It is really intense slider tech, and South Korea just have an incredible roster for it. Okay, there's WhiteCat in the lobby.
Yeah, this type of map is like just so South Korea though. I know, like, it's difficult, right, in this situation to not just say South Korea is great at this, South Korea is great at that. But the fact is, like, look at the results and look at what they're doing, and I don't know that you can really say anything else. They are so dominant so far this match. They're so dominant on so many skill sets. And again, look at the roster. It's Hyok, it's Tuna, it's Forum, it's Amamya Kokoro. Like, what do you do against this roster on a map like this? I'm not entirely sure, but maybe for Germany, ZeitFrost, aahoff, criller, and WhiteCat could possibly be the answer. A little bit of a question mark on aahoff. He's played kind of only a few maps and hasn't always had the greatest scores. A little bit of a fill player. That happens when you're the 4th player. You're often going to be in for stuff you're not 100% comfortable with. But we'll see how he can perform on this one. It's early breaks for both him and ZeitFrost. Amamya Kokoro the next to fall. So it's 3 FCs for South Korea against 2 on Germany. Criller, WhiteCat, that duo's got to wake up. They've got to start really pulling in these great scores if Germany wants to have any chance at getting into this match. But this is a very tough map archetype to try to contest against South Korea. Down goes Criller, down goes aahoff once more. Still a 3-way to make that 2-way FC for South Korea. Hyok and Tuna full comboing against WhiteCat with ZeitFrost on that recovery combo.
Well, there goes both of those names, though, 2 and G, right as you say them, and now it's 2 FCs to 0. Amamya Kokoro on the recovery, and South Korea are off to an absolutely massive early. This is not a long map either. Nobody getting slow slidered for the time being, but This duo from Germany, Criller and WhiteCat, I don't think they've had a particularly bad match. They've been playing about as well as you could expect. It's just unfortunately not been enough. There goes 3 misses, but 2 of them are on the side of Germany. Hyok does drop an FC, but FlyingTuna, who's had an incredible tournament thus far, is still on 750 combo, worst HR player. And Amamya Kokoro, not too far behind. This score lead has already ballooned to 550,000 points, and this one is looking like a foregone conclusion.
You do not win this Nomad 4 by 1,000,000 points. Surely you don't drop another one of these 1,000,000-point gaps. There goes ZeitFrost, aahoff, WhiteCat some more, and maybe that could actually be happening. FlyingTuna still holding the FC. Worst HR player and Amamya Kokoro both on the recovery combo. Look at that accuracy on forum. Finally does break, but over 99% Amamya Kokoro somehow held through that pattern, finally does break. It's Criller to hold and fall as well. The whole lobby has reset, and this one is a done deal in the words of Dio, signed, sealed, and delivered in favor of South Korea. This is going to be their 5th point in this match in a row. It may not quite reach the 1 million mark, but 929k, the margin of victory on this map, is gigantic. 2.2 million to 1.3 million. South Korea 5-0 match points the rest of the way, and this level of historical dominance continues as they are now 21 for 21 maps in the tournament.
Yeah, Germany, they have the pick. They have one more chance to stop it from becoming 22 maps in a row. And the question is, where do they go from here? The DT1 didn't work out. The Nomad 1 didn't work out. I still think they're going to have to go back to that tap-in. Maybe they go for something a little bit crazy, like the DT4, but then, of course, the concern is that, yes, while you have WhiteCat and I think Tim Kackner could put up a solid score on the map, I don't know that they actually have a full 4-player roster for that map, so maybe out of the question. They could try going back to the aim, but like free mod 1, maybe they have looked really good on the free mod so far. Okinamo can hit in just about everything. They've got Tim Kackner for the hard rock, and so that makes the free mods potentially very easy in terms of mod decision, but it's so tricky to pick into this one, and this is the DT2, and this one I think is a good pick for Germany, but again, anyone's game. Both Hyok and Doomsday Fanboy have recent FCs in the last 3 days on the global leaderboards. They're not trying to hide it at all. You know, they're showing Germany, well, you can play this map, at least 2 of us, and I guess who are the 2 first in the lobby?
Yeah, you know, after the way the double time 1 went earlier, lost maybe a little bit of confidence in the DT picks for Germany. I kind of would have liked to see them chance the Nomad 2 here. They've got some really, really strong flow aim players on that German roster, so to see them avoid that even in, you know, a last-ditch effort sort of scenario is a little bit surprising to me. But instead, opting into this DT2, of course, we talked about that fact that their likely pick strategy would involve some DT, would involve some tapping, so not too surprising in that regard. But, you know, going into something that it's a little techy, it's a little finger and aim control heavy compared to something that's, you know, more of a raw stamina or speed like the DT1 or the banned DT3 or the Hard Rock 3. So it's going to call into play a little bit of a different skill set in terms of tapping. And we'll have to see how the players contend with it. Rosters might be kind of interesting for this one, as both teams appear to be taking some time sorting out their 4-man. I would think they've got it prepped on their team sheets, but how you're feeling on the day can always be a little different. So we'll settle in here. Okinamo, ZeitFrost, Criller, Doomsday, Fanboy, Karcher, Hyok, so far remaining to be seen, the 1 for each player, each team.
Yeah. Tuna, no surprises. This very much feels like the kind of map Tuna loves to play. Last one for Germany. We haven't seen WhiteCat really play the speed, but this one is not a raw speed map, as you mentioned. 240 BPM, there aren't any super crazy bursts, so WhiteCat feeling fast enough to play this one. Germany, one last chance to halt South Korea, prevent them from becoming, I imagine, the first ever undefeated team through semifinals. Someone will have to fact check me on that.
I am fairly sure that that has never happened. I mean, maybe if it occurred in one of the very, very early days of the World Cup would be the only thing. Has not happened since I became a World Cup viewer. Even, you know, the team from the United States in 2019 still did drop at least 1 or 2 points in the earlier stages. In fact, I think they dropped one in like round of 32, one in quarterfinals. It is going to be the early break here, though, to get things back on track in this map from Doomsday, Fanboy, Okinamo, and Criller falling early on in the kind of kick slider jump heavy section here. The triples and slightly longer bursts can catch you out if you're not 100% on top of your game. Is going to be the early lead for South Korea here. ZeitFrost and WhiteCat, though, holding down the double FC from Germany, able to pounce on any misses that may be forthcoming from South Korea. But so far this match, such misses have just not been forthcoming.
No, they haven't. Germany putting themselves in a good spot to capitalize if those misses ever do come from South Korea, if being the key word, because they are still on 3 full combos. Doomsday Fanboy not far behind in the slightest, but it's only 115,000 points. This one is incredibly close to UNG. The question is, can Germany hold on to their combos through the next KI section? This is a still tricky but slightly easier section, so Germany desperately needs to hold on to their combos here. They can't afford a single miss, and all it takes is one from South Korea. Germany finds the miss. It's WhiteCat. That was the last FC. That was not one they could afford to drop, and still not a single miss comes out from South Korea. Okay, there's one. Is going to balance things out a little bit, but one miss is not enough. They need more, and if they don't see those misses soon, it's going to be the end. Slow slider doesn't catch anybody out for South Korea, and this might just be at the end.
It could be. There is still some time left in this ending. The lead, 300,000 points, a decent amount of score remaining on every player, but South Korea looking so comfortable on that double FC on Karcher and Tuna. ZeitFrost can only do so much despite the backing combo from Okinamo and Criller. They don't have a second full combo, and they're down by a lot coming into the ending. And this historical run of dominance for South Korea in this 2024 World Cup looking to continue into the ending. This is going to be the closest map of the match. The margin of victory on this one, only 326,000 points, but that nonetheless is a 6-0 sweep for South Korea in the semifinal over Germany. The double FC comes in for Karcher and for Tuna just to put a cherry on top of a ridiculous performance in this match. Multiple top scores for the weekend, some incredible performances, and a Germany team on the other side that's just going to come out of this, I think, a little bit shell-shocked at what just happened to them. This South Korea team extending their dominance 22 straight maps into the winners final without losing a single